of the earlier discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
What's going on, everyone? All right, so it is Wednesday, coming off of a pretty epic night from last night. So we are going to kind of keep the ball rolling, but tonight is mainly about stocks. So either GME, AMC, Meta, but we are going to be going off of GameStop first since they did have their earnings today. I know a lot of people are kind of amped up about it being, something crazy or whatever. And this is where I do try to stress to anybody that does listen to me, like earnings are usually just that. It's how the company's doing, what they did in the last quarter, where they're sitting. And if anybody was listening today, our precious GameStop is actually doing pretty phenomenal. I am going to bring up my BullHouse staff. So we got Lady in here, and we have Chef in here. So this is going to be a great night, guys. Because you're not just going to have to listen to me ramble. But it is an open mic, so if anybody down in the audience does want to come up and talk and express your opinions or how you feel about anything, please don't hesitate to hit the request button below. Yeah, and I will bring you up as soon as I can. I'm hoping that we don't crash like we almost did last night because we had so many people in here, which was phenomenal. But yeah, so I did take some notes. So the big points that I found with GameStop, the ones that really just stuck out to me that said yes as a fundamental play, not for the MOAS play. MOAS, we know it, we know the DD, we know what's going on. Buy, hold, yes, right? But as an investor, I really do believe that you need to know what you're investing in. And so, the fact that they're adding a 530,000 square foot fulfillment center in Nevada, like that is incredible. Like they already had the one in Philly or in Pennsylvania, wherever it is in Pennsylvania. But that we've been hearing about, someone within our own community has said, hey, yeah, I'm getting actually a lot faster shipping from GameStop because of this new distribution center. And so the fact that they're adding that speaks volume. That means they have the money to do so, right? And they did say that they have some unsecured debt, which is okay. In the grand scheme of things, when you have a business, some debt is okay to keep liquid cash, right? Which GameStop reported they have $1.77 billion in cash, right? That's incredible. Especially when you consider the fact that this time last year they were almost bankrupt, that they were going under, guys, and so the fact that they have this much money to play with, I'm very excited for them as a business in themselves. They had a 25.6% increase in sales this quarter. That is, you guys are great, and this comes from everyone that's doing gift cards. Like they're going to GameStop and buying gift cards for other companies. Like so, basically, we're giving GameStop the money, and then they're going to go spend their gift card somewhere else. Which that's brilliant. Whoever figured that one out, hats off to you. That's brilliant. And so then you also have console sales and game sales and accessory sales. So it's great. It's and you're literally just paying yourself in a sense. You can always look at it that way. Whenever you go and shop at a place that you invest into, you can look at it as paying yourself. Just guilty pleasure, I guess. If you're like, oh, I just spent $300 at GameStop. Well, you paid yourself because you are an owner of the company. So then we also found that they did talk about how they had to close down some of the stores. Okay, and if you were in the call earlier today, while we were going through this isn't always a bad thing. This is actually a good business practice. If you have brick and mortar areas that are not performing as well as they should, and you have to cut costs, or they're actually draining your cash flow, it's a good idea to just close those down and reallocate those assets and different monetary consumption ideas to other areas in the business where you might need it more. And so why I say this is that they mentioned on the call that they are putting a new customer service area down here in Florida. So that, yeah, while they're losing out on shops and storefronts there and the jobs that affects, because that is something that I look for when I invest into a company, is the people that work for it. It's not just the top tier, the board members and the CEOs and whoever. It's the little people, the me people kind of thing. And so it's like, okay, well, they did reduce this amount of jobs, but they're adding a bunch of other jobs between the distribution center, the new one, and this new customer service. So the fact that they have the ability to add these amounts of jobs, plus adding the overhead costs of warehouses or office spaces and things like that, that's actually a pretty good sign to me in that sense. So fundamentally, the company is doing great. Like they have some really outstanding things going for them. 75.9 million outstanding shares. They're doing exactly what I would think that a company should do when they have this newfound interest in a company. I shouldn't say newfound, but that's what it is, because not a lot of people were interested in getting into GameStop, right? Like everyone was like, okay, yeah, GameStop's dead. Well, GameStop did exactly what they should do. They reinvented themselves because us as retail investors gave them the ability to have this liquidity pool to reinvent themselves. And so that just gave me a lot of hope for the company. Lady, Chef, do you have anything you want to add to it, or anybody on the audience with GameStop's earnings today?
I guess just real quick. Not. I don't have as much to say. I know we talked about it quite a bit earlier, but I think it was a positive quarter, right? Like a beat on revenue, significantly better bottom line net income. We saw, like, in terms of the sales breakdown, like increase in console sales, increase in collectible sales, slight decrease like in the game sales, but I think that aligns with kind of the demographic of a lot of the shareholder base, which we might fall into. And then one thing that I did see kind of in between now and the time that we last talked is, they do mention the SEC inquiry within the 10K or the 10Q itself, where they say that they did get an inquiry from the SEC. They're fully cooperating with it. They don't expect that it will impact the operations. And I think it's positive to see the company disclosing that there is like an active kind of inquiry and investigation as it relates to what's going on. And like it kind of contributes to our theory that that may be one of the reasons that they're a little bit tight-lipped in terms of what they had to say from a commentary perspective, in addition to the strategic aspects of it.
Yeah, and I mean, they have to stay tight-lipped too, kind of. I mean, we talked about that a little bit earlier, was that, keeping your hand quiet, right? Because I don't think anybody saw their earnings to be this great, actually, right? Would you say, Chef?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they were good. I mean, year over year, I mean, it was a significant improvement. I mean, the revenue was up there. I mean, and it's hard to say because I mean, a lot of times, like, we were talking a little bit last night. I think I can't remember whether it was Jackson or Boss Blunts that made the point, but consensus analyst estimates are always just so convoluted. Like, I mean, it really doesn't mean anything. And like, if you look at the number of analysts that are covering GME at this point, there's not a whole lot of analysts that are covering them because they kind of took their ball and went home after they figured out they weren't going to be able to accurately predict the price. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it was a really good quarter. I mean, I was happy with the numbers, for sure. So
awesome. Yes. So yeah, if anybody down below does want to ever comment about GME, I am gonna move on. For the moment, GME is welcome all day long, all night long, whatever. Since it was a big, it was the earnings day, so I know there's gonna be questions or something. And I am trying to figure out if this did push them into the S&P 500. I have not found a solid answer to that question yet, so I'm not comfortable saying yes or no yet. But if it's not this year, I could see it being next year, just because I do base it on the different quarters. Alaska. But yeah, it is based on 4 quarters. So from what I'm reading, so I don't want to say anything definitive just yet.
I'm trying to allow him to speak. Hold on one second.
Okay. Yeah, it just says that he's connecting right now.
Oh, okay, good.
yeah, I think it does that. Like, even like when I'm getting brought up, it kind of, a lot of times it lags out for me and I can't hear for a minute, but then it kind of connects back. So I don't know. Sometimes it takes a second depending on how many people are in here and whatnot.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm actually pretty stoked with GameStop. Like, I mean, I know like the gnarly dip that we took in after hours. But that was to be expected. We know that. Like, and I could have almost called it the minute that when they said how much cash they have on hand is when it dipped, and we were all we were in the call together. I was like, yep, and there it is. There's the dip, there's the drop, because it was good news. Every time there's good news, it drops. And so we kind of had to see that one coming. And so this does lead me into so like I said earlier, we are going to talk about numerous stocks, and if there's one that someone wants to talk about, come up and mention it or whatever, we can definitely do that, because today is really it's supposed to be stock day, so we're just going to talk stocks. And so this leads me to a little grievance, that I had, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. And I do apologize that we didn't record it, but I just wanted to be, just candid, so people really felt comfortable coming up and talking, if they wanted to, because it is a lot to come up and talk, especially knowing that it's going to be recorded or whatever. So I get it. But Adam Aaron came out and had said today that there is talks or whatever of a partnership or something with GameStop, and it was pointed out today that he's done this once before, and then he had to retract it back and say that he hadn't actually talked to him. So I'm hoping that there was actually talks and he's not doing that again. But so yeah, and this is earlier I had said this is I hope as the Ape Nation. This is my call to Ape Nation, that we can now just see them together. Okay. If it is true, if we find out that it is definitely true that AMC and GME are going to have some kind of partnership, guys, we're in this together. We are bound, and that's I know that's a hard pill to swallow for some people on either side. On either side of this, I know there's AMC people that are whatever with the GME, and GME people are whatever with AMC, but guys, if they are partnering together, they're no longer just connected through ETFs. They're no longer connected through the same shorting companies. They're no longer connected through the same apes that are buying. Like, it will combine these two. And so the diversity, the division, that the FUD, I guess we'll say, is trying to create, it's done. I'm going to call it now. It's done, because now it's kind of, I hate to do this, but it's on like Donkey Kong. Okay, like, it is so effing on that if the apes can come together, figure out why these two companies are trying to partner up, which it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Um, I see John Diamond. Nope, AA is gross. I understand, and this is where. Okay, I understand you guys. I do get it, but that does not change. It does not change it. I know what you guys are gonna say. Um, And this is where we invest in the company. This is where I've always said you invest in the company, you invest for the people that work for these companies, the little people, the person giving you the popcorn, the person, ringing you up at GameStop, whoever's cleaning all these businesses, those are the people we're investing in to make sure that it stays, right? Those are the people ultimately going to be hurt if these companies go down. And so that is what I invest into. I don't care. I don't care how people think of AA. Everyone is entitled to their own opinions. Whether you trust them, whether you don't trust them, that's on you. Okay. We can have these discussions all day long and no one's going to flip anybody. But what I do know is that the apes aren't selling. The apes are sticking it out if they can. And that's why I say if they can, guys, if you have to do what you need to do to take care of yourself. That's the end of the day. But I have also seen posts that are like, hey, don't sell, reach out to the ape community. We've got you. And that oh my gosh, I've had chills reading through Twitter posts that say that, like, someone's like, I might have to sell because I have to pay back rent because the moratorium just, whatever. And someone's like, hey, I
Kenna,
got you. Yes. Yes, Foster.
Kenna,
Hey.
don't get afraid.
Oh, I'm
When
not
I'm,
afraid.
when I'm listening to you now and getting the connection between AMC and Jimmy, we can discuss about it, of course. Um, don't get afraid. It's
No.
still about the basics.
Always the basics. And but that's it though, right? Like, that is 100% it. The basics. We know DD. We know the DD. And there's always more DD to be done, but especially with that kind of bomb drop. But buy and hold. That's it. I'm not afraid. I have both. A lot of my community has both and then some. Doesn't change anything, but this is just literally my call out to where
But it doesn't matter anyways. I think you know what I mean. It's the system in both stocks is kind of interesting. Let me call it that way. Whatever's going to happen with the cinema stock, with AMC, whatever going to happen with GME, no one knows right now. But we all know that's not what a stock behaves. We all know it. We all know why we think, oh, it should be different. We have our reason. And that's from my side, it's a perspective to believe in or let it be.
that's fair. That is definitely fair. No, nothing changes, guys. But anyway, it's just a weird thing. But anyway, so that's AMC. Meta, MMAT. That's my other baby. That one was painful today. I actually don't know why it dropped. I can't tell you. I wish I could. I know there's a lot of people with call options. And those looked a little painful this morning and this afternoon. So, but Meta, if anybody has Meta or has information on it, it's I think it's okay. It's Wednesday. Wednesday usually Meta drops, so I'm not too worried. And it's a short week, so I'm not, it's whatever. They do have, if no one knows about it, it was a unique play for a lot of us, with different perspectives on it. It had it all. It really did. It had a reverse merge, a reverse split. It had a preferred stock dividend. Like, we'll have a whole day on Meta sometime soon. For those that didn't know about it, like why it's been a play that I do tweet out about at times. It taught me a lot. It really did teach me a lot about various things that companies can do whenever they're trying to, merge together and get listed on the NASDAQ and all this other stuff. So, it feeds into GameStop a bit because of that preferred share dividend that they offered. I'm not saying that's what GameStop's doing, but if they were to ever offer like a crypto dividend or an NFT dividend or anything that we've been talking about.
But Kenna, the last times they only talked about NFTs anymore. And I was really getting pissed off because I was thinking about, what are you guys talking about? You're making dream castles, and you know what next quarter. I don't know the English word, to be honest. What was happening tonight? What was the English term for the GameStop meeting right now?
The earnings call?
Earnings call. And they were, it's all agree, NFT. Of course it's not. And I don't understand you guys. You're hyping stuff, and give them some time. Really.
So there's always some good speculation there. I get it. People think maybe something this or that. I try not to do too much of the speculation in that sense. Because it can, and this is what I refer to as positive FUD.
Of course
right?
it is. Of course it is. Of course, Jenna, I definitely agree with you. Definitely. But at one point, it's getting too much speculation. And I'm not here because I'm liking to hear hyping some stuff. I'm here because I know where I am.
No, and I get that, and that's what Chef and I were talking about earlier. Like, I won't be somebody that will hype it, unless I know for certain, because I just, in my heart, I can't do it, because unless I can sit here and give you guys sources on what I'm finding. I don't. Positive FUD can actually have the same effect as regular just FUD, negative FUD, because we do have a lot of new investors. Like, I've actually had a lot of people that are in our community that were never invested into GameStop, and they're actually getting into it now. They've come into a lot of the GameStop talks, and Midas, I know you've you've been doing a killing with hosting some spaces with radio and everything. So all of these new GME spaces that we have going, it's been phenomenal because it's getting the word out. People aren't always on Reddit. Reddit's a lot to maneuver around, and then you don't know if you're supposed to go to Wall Street Bets. You don't know if you're supposed to go to the GME subreddit. You don't know if you're supposed to go to Superstar Reddit. It's a ton, right? And then you don't know what's a shill, what's not. And so this is where, if we have, whether it's negative FUD or positive FUD, it's FUD nonetheless, because what ends up happening is these new investors, they actually have no idea what's fully going on, what we've been through. And this is what we've been trying to, do with some of my GME space calls, is taking it back, going retro, going back, months ago on the DD that we were doing and seeing what we were doing, because we have learned a lot. Us as a
Jenna,
community, we've
I definitely agree, and I'm definitely gonna buy tomorrow when I definitely see the price gonna has dropped really tremendously. But to be honest, I'm a GameStop investor since January. I've been through the game. I know this up and down. I don't worry about 10% down. I don't care. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
So I'm going to answer this real quick. So John Diamond, what I mean by positive FUD. I know this is it sounds like an oxymoron, right? It's a complete oxymoron. But a positive FUD means it's great news, it's pumping everybody up, and it's, whatever. But when that news doesn't come to fruition, it creates that fear, that uncertainty, that doubt, and what, people that are doing DD, the big, say, like, if I start saying, oh, without a shadow of a doubt, there's going to be XYZ happen with GameStop or AMC, I have, but I have no source to back that up, it's hype. And people, I get people hyped to invest into GameStop or AMC based on my hype. And then that stuff never comes to fruition. Then they say, well, does this person actually know what the hell they're talking about? Or are they just, kind of a mouth at this point? So that's what I mean by positive FUD, is that we get people so hyped up and those things never come to fruition or don't come to fruition for a long period of time. And it can cause people to be kind of like, okay, did I make the right choice? And why isn't this happening? It's kind of like the why we stopped doing dates, why people stopped kind of trying to guess dates, right? Because that was considered positive FUD. People were getting hyped for these dates, and we'd hype these dates on social media. We'd hype it on Reddit. We'd hype it on whatever, and then come to that date, quadruple witching day, or an earnings call, or a release of something, this stock would tank heavily and people would get out. People would, new investors that didn't understand what was going on, that just kind of hopped on because people hyped it, they got out, unfortunately. And it does happen. It did happen. People, I would see it all over, either the Weeble comments or and Twitter or Reddit, and it's just like, I'm out, guys. Like, you guys don't know what the hell's going on, and we can't just keep, this kind of
Jenna,
momentum.
so
Yeah,
tell me,
Fosca.
so what do you think? Because you're telling, okay, you see that and that. So how do you behave?
How do I behave? I'm actually very calm. Like, if I can see, like today with like earnings calls, it's something solid. If there's something with the general market, because that's what I usually cover, is broad market. Um, if something will affect the stocks, and I have that type thing, um, I can bring that. But I'm cool. I'm like TMI, cool, calm, collected. Hey, we know what's going on. If there's new DD, I will present it as long as I've fact checked it and everything else, and there's nothing weird in it. Um, but there's just, as long as there's solid evidence, I am no problem hyping that stuff. But if it's just speculation, full speculation, it's fun. It is fun. It is fun to talk. Hey, there could be, because they do have a website with the NFT thing, with the game, with all this other stuff. And then you have Brent doing his DD with the Pokemon stuff, which is phenomenal. Fosca, I know you and him got into it, which I didn't.
Last time I woke up with the wet dream as well. Yes.
Yeah. And so, but Brent has done phenomenal job with this whole Pokemon thing, and there's something there. There's too much stuff that he has put into that and found, and the just random Easter eggs with GameStop and Pokemon and Nintendo and there's too many coincidences. There's too many coincidences for it to be a coincidence anymore. And so that one, I support him 100%, because he's loaded my Discord with like information dump after information dump of here's what I'm finding and everything. So that it is a possibility. I'm not gonna, fact. I can't say 100% that it's fact, but that it's possible, right? and I don't rule out the possibility. Um,
Definitely is. We don't have to talk about that. We don't talk about a company that's that. We talk about a company with a lot of opportunities, with a lot of possibilities to happen in the future. I'm with you. Definitely.
Yeah, and that's what he's always saying. He's not saying like that's happening this week or no, the technology's not there. He's just saying like he thinks that this is a thing that could happen because he's yeah, he's in for MOAS, but he's also a long holder. Like he is 100% into GameStop and what they can do, which I believe if all my GME people in here, I'm sure you guys will throw up hundreds. You guys are screw ever selling because this thing's never going down. That's the general sentiment to GME holders. And so they are in it for the long haul. They want GameStop to be as successful as possible, which I find phenomenal. And so they look towards 1, 2, 5 years, 10 years down the road, their great grandkids, what they're going to be doing, and so, and it's possible. It's a very big possibility. And so like that kind of information, I will always support. But now if you're sitting here, someone comes to me and says, hey, Kenna, they're going to do a split of blah, blah, blah based on some random algorithmic thing that I found on XYZ site, and I know that site's a bunch of BS. I'm going to look at them going, you got to find me a different source here before I put that out and tarnish my name a little bit more. I'm going to need a different source than, Motley Fool or something. That's just throwing that one out there.
Kenna, just one question. Someone else in the line who wants to talk? Who wants to
Yep.
say what? No, I'm just asking.
Oh no one else is request. If anybody else wants to request to come talk, you guys are more than welcome to come join me. You guys can come up. Don't be shy. You're okay. We don't bite, I swear.
Actually, I do.
Careful, Fosca might bite.
Skin Toe says Ken is generally chill. Love that about her. Oh, Skin Toe, thank you. I appreciate that. I do. I try to stay chill because I mean, you have to take emotion out of the industry, out of any financial thing that you're doing. If you're trading, whether it's options, forex, cryptos, you name it, if you're trading against bots almost 99% of the time. If it's just computers constantly, and so you have to be about as emotionless as a computer. I know my computer doesn't give a crap what I'm doing on a daily, so unless I overwork it, but that's about it. And so you just kind of have to be chill and relaxed and um, just not give a damn. I don't know any better way to say that than you know what you know, and you have to have the confidence in that knowledge. And if you don't have the confidence in that knowledge, go get the confidence in that knowledge by researching. Google, best friend. Google will be your best friend. And that is something I've been asked, like, how deep do I dive? I don't dive any deeper than Google, because I figure if I'm allowed to find it, if I'm supposed to be able to find it, it's going to be on Google. I don't go on DuckDuckGo. I don't go on any kind of other things that you have that the censorship or whatever. Anything I find, Google allows it. And so that's where you gotta do your own DD and find the confidence in what you're investing in.
Kenna, you're definitely right. Definitely right. But at one point, we get into some topic that's kind of really complicated. So you really have to spend some time to understand what's happening. It's not something like I ask Google and then Google gives me the answer. It's not that easy in a financial way, is it?
Well, so it's definitely not. But I mean, I think I was actually just talking about this with my brother not too long ago. I mean, that's where the power of the community comes in, and I mean, I think that's why, like, a lot of us that have been in here for a long time, like the DD is kind of never done, but the DD is kind of done, like, to a certain extent. Like when when you look at the work that some of the people in this community have done, and Kenna obviously being one of them, with a lot of the theories that have been put out there, and the Reddit post. I mean, there's
really great. So DD work in progress and always improving. That's great.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is, but it's just like leveraging the power of the community. And I mean, obviously, like you can't just read it and take it as truth. I mean, you have to internalize it. You have to think about it. You have to do your own research to get comfortable with it. But I mean, I think it's pretty amazing. I mean, just the body of work that's out there. As we've kind of like gone through this journey, and I mean, even going back to some of the comments that we were talking about earlier with the concept of positive FUD versus negative FUD, and the way that hype can kind of create disappointment. I mean, I think that does happen like a lot, particularly with new people. And I mean, all of us can probably remember being in the play early, where we didn't have like this huge library of DD, or as big of a community, or as much information as we did now. And regardless of whether or not people did sell at certain points, I think we're all here now, and we can remember like the way that felt. But I don't know. I mean, for me personally, I mean, it doesn't, like, the price action just doesn't faze me anymore. And I understood the sentiment like at the beginning, and it's like I want it to be like that, but I don't know that I was necessarily completely like that. I mean, I haven't sold shares and stuff like that, but did it make me nervous? Like, yeah, it definitely did. But does it now? Like, no, not really. Because I don't think that, it's not just that I don't think I'm missing something. It's that I don't think everybody's missing something. And I mean, I think that's powerful. And it's not that people are working together, or that they're operating as some kind of collective or something like that. It just goes to show like the power of kind of collective research and knowledge of a community.
It's literally what we were taught to do in high school. What we were taught in grade school, right, was group projects where everyone had to kind of pull their own weight in one way, shape, or form. It's literally that. Like, this is the biggest group project and research, right? Because I mean, it's on a global scale. You have people, that English is a second language or a third language, and they're writing up DD on GameStop. And I think that's what's brilliant, is because we all have access to different information, whether it's Bloomberg Terminal or Ortex or FINRA or Unusual Whales or BAM Investor, like any of these different sources, right? We all have different strengths on how to read either TA or dissecting SEC files or DTCC filings, or what have you, historical records that may or may not benefit us. It's just a wealth of information that we have. And it's funny that you said that, Chef. Like, you didn't have the same conviction or anything, feelings in the beginning. And I remember this. Now this goes back to AMC only days. In that Discord, it got to a point, and anybody that was with me during that, it got to a point every time it dropped, we were laughing. Like, it wasn't like, oh no, oh crap, this is scary, blah, blah, blah. No, we got so numb to the drops, to the short ladder attacks and everything like that, to a point where we would laugh on the red days. On the red days, we were dying laughing because we're like, what are they doing? What the heck? Like, they're being watched on a global scale. And this was back in February when everything went down. GameStop was sitting at like, what was it, 40, 50 bucks, and AMC was sitting at 550. We were all laughing at it because there was just nothing else you could do, because it was asinine. Because you just can't fathom the fact that you have financial institutions that they know they're on our subreddits, they're around Twitter, they're listening in on different conversations and things, you know, with whatever paid bots or whatever they have. They're listening to us, so they know we're talking. And so it's just kind of funny. You just kind of have to laugh at it, and that's the best thing I have for it. But that was a good point, Chef. Sorry, Fosca, what were you gonna say?
I didn't say anything. But thanks, Kenna.
Oh, oh, I
I,
thought.
I definitely agree with what you were saying. Um, it's a completely interesting time from the it's a travel, to be honest. When you see the early investors in January and getting along, and you were talking about late investors, and that's where I'm getting a bit more. I'm not sure to I would I would because I know what's behind. I would personally buy more, but I'm not sure if I would suggest someone else to buy more or to start buying. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because it's a so high risk stuff right now, and we all know it. We all know it. Um, but we are aware of the risk, and we are aware of the DD, like you mentioned before, and we know where we are going. But
Well, to
I,
say this, I did buy one today. Bought one. That's all I could scrounge together today, but I
I'm gonna,
bought one more share.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna wait tomorrow. To be honest, till US market starts because there's gonna be a drop, and then I'm gonna buy more.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
No,
Uh,
I bought it. I bought it today because it's you know, it was earnings day, and I just kind of I like have like almost all my shares have a specific date on them. Um, like I don't usually buy it just on like a random day. Like I like to have it as like a commemorative type thing on my portfolio of dates. That's just my own thing. It's a weird thing, I know, but it's my thing.
but can I be honest? Is it you're buying because you like GameStop, or is it because you think um, there's some misbehavior in the stock trading?
Both, both.
Both.
Um,
Okay.
so GameStop, I went, I can remember being about 6, 7 years old. Might have been 7 or 8. Um, but it was grade school when the N64 came out, and my sister had got me the N64 for Christmas that year, and we went to GameStop. First time I'd ever stepped foot in a GameStop, and I was able to buy 3 different N64 games. And it was the yellow cartridge Donkey Kong Open World, uh, and we got Mario Kart, and we got
Yeah. Unbelievable. Really great. Okay.
yeah, no, it was a phenomenal. It's a day. I mean, I'm 31 years old, and I remember this day so clearly because it was so cool. It was an entire. It wasn't like EB Games. It wasn't like Spencer's or something like that. Like it was just games, and I'd grown up with like the original Nintendo and Super Nintendo. My sister and we gamed on those all, from gosh, as far back as I can remember. Playing Super Mario and Yoshi World and all these other games, whatever. And so it was just I'd never seen a store like that before, and we probably spent a few hours in there just looking through all the games and whatnot that they had. And back then, if you guys remember, GameStop didn't have a lot in a sense, not like what they have now, but it was just a baffling experience. And so then I also have you know uh, I worked at a restaurant that sat next to a GameStop when I was in high school, and we'd get off work, my sister and I worked together there, and um the midnight releases for like Halo or whatever. It was usually Halo because that's what we played.
So-
But
Sorry to interrupt you, Kenna, but you kind of you're going around my question.
no, no, no. I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. No, games. Listen to me. So I have, I have a sentiment with GameStop. I spent a lot of money in GameStop growing up, but and then to see to see what GameStop is doing, what I was saying earlier, they're transitioning, I call it, into the 22nd century, right? They're not in the 21st, because the 21st they would still be just doing the same brick and mortar consoles, games, but they're getting into the cloud world. You know, the whole thing with getting Ryan Cohen on and his team and Amazon people, they're transferring in to make sure that they're sustainable, and that alone gives me so much faith in GameStop, because that means they're trying to set themselves up to be able to stay around. No matter if COVID's around and shutdowns happen, if people are still able to utilize GameStop, whether it's buying online and, you know, they're adding these fulfillment centers and whatnot, they're trying to reinvent themselves, which is fantastic. They did exactly what any company that has a backing like GameStop has right now should do, had they been, you know, almost bankrupt. Like it was a phenomenal thing. And so then, second part of your question, the manipulation in the market, yes, 100%. That is the ape nation right there. That is, you know, there's corruption in a lot of things.
I have to admit, I was in the game in December, January, whatever, and I went out, got some gain, and was happy for a moment. And I still watched what's happening. And at one point, I realized, come on, guys, this game is not at the end. This game is still running. It's not, to be honest, it's not about the company fundamentally, what's happening there, but it was just about the stock action going on. And I reinvested. And I'm still in there because I'm pretty sure you're right. The company has a lot of perspective. I like what's happening there. But on the other hand, there's a lot of possibility from, I really see it that way, in the stock.
100%. No, and I mean, hey, whatever everyone wants to be invested in and why they're invested into it, that is your prerogative. That is
Both
yeah.
is legit. You know, both is really good reason. Sometimes it happens. The reason might be what price you bought in.
Yeah,
Because
and that's fair.
if you're at $220, you won't be the one who's happy going long.
Yeah, no, and that's perfectly. I appreciate people that can, you know, be in it for both plays. You know, and you don't have to choose one or the other. You don't have to choose both. And this is where I always say it's a personal adventure throughout this whole stock market mess, and GameStop, AMC, whatever, you know, the revolution, I guess we can say, maybe, I don't know.
It's something really new. You're completely
It
right.
is, but it's a personal adventure, right? This is, you know, investing with your own money. It's always going to be a personal adventure. You have to have your own personal conviction on why you're in it. And that's all I have to say about it. You know, I see it both plays. I see the fundamental play, the long term. You know, that's where I have always said, you know, you have to believe in your company that you're investing in, whether it's a short squeeze play or not. Because of that, because if you start doubting the company, then you're going to start doubting your investment. And so you have to know what you're investing into, right? But at the same time, you know, if you're in and there are people that just do squeeze plays. There are investors that do that. They look for them and they invest into it just for that purpose. But for GameStop in itself, when it
I
comes,
agree
okay,
with you.
I'm trying to,
It's a different play. I
yeah.
completely agree with you, Canada. I completely agree.
And this, you know, we don't know with this short squeeze, the MOAS, the mother of all good lords. We don't know. No one can tell you a date. right? And so that's where I say, you know, they have to have a fundamental play too. You have to be so confident in this investment, or you're not going to want to stay into it, unless your whole goal is for the MOS. Hey, that's good too. That's your conviction. That is what your purpose is for investing into it. I fully support that. But that is part of that whole, you know, your conviction into it. So if that's the play, cool. But make sure you stay convicted in it, and keep your purpose in it, and keep reading and keep looking up the corruption in the stock market. But you also have to be prepared. It could be another, you know, month, 6 months, year, because people that were in it from August of last year, I don't think they anticipated it being, you know, over a year later, and we're still fighting this, right? And I mean, anybody that got in January, if I can have hundreds or something in the chat, did anyone see you still holding this and fighting the same battle 9 months down the road? Anyone? I think a lot of people anticipated it being like 3 months, 6 months or so, because who in their right mind pays
Can I
fees and fines this long?
I definitely have to say from my side, I'm extremely disappointed about the behavior of Ryan Cohen. I know I get a lot of shit usually when I say that, because people like Brian Cohen. I'm pretty sure Brian Cohen is good for GameStop. Um, but right now he's leaving us as a retail investors behind. I don't
No,
care
I
what
wouldn't say I
Twitter
won't bash you for it. I won't bash you for your opinion on that at all. That's, you know, that's perfectly fine. But I will say I do remember reading something a few months back that people of the board, the CEO, people high up in the company, they might not be able to talk much because of the investigation into GameStop and everything that happened in January, and
can I,
with all that.
I'm not excuse me, I'm not talking about investing and stock and whatever. I'm talking about future of GameStop, and he's not delivering from my side how I am thinking. You know, we were talking about 9 months right now, and we're talking about a company who got really some money in the pockets right now. We talk about some projects where they are having some people getting hired on the NFT stuff, whatever. But we are not talking about some concrete projects. And that's what I mean. I would have expected to have some concrete destinies. Okay, that's where we're heading to. And you
Well, I
don't
mean,
get it.
Well, I mean, I would say like we're not talking about it, but that doesn't mean that they're not doing it, right? I mean, there's something to be said for not showing your hand, and I mean, I was talking about this a little bit earlier, as it related to some different things. Like, I mean, we were talking about basically the SEC and some of the you know, the disappointment and kind of the calls for Gensler and stuff like that. And I mean, it's like, if you just, when you look at the corporate world, I mean, things don't move particularly quickly. I mean, they just don't. I mean, things have to be planned and strategized and measured, and then, you know, you go, you know, take steps upon what's been laid out to kind of reach those goals. And so, I, I mean, there could be something transformational happening within the company right now that they're not speaking about because of, you know, because of Kenneth's point about, you know, the SEC inquiry and potential litigation that may be going on. I mean, B, because they don't necessarily want to, you know, show their cards to either A, the competition, or B, you know, a lot of the funds that are obviously short their stock. I mean, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, I personally have a lot of faith in you know, RC and what he's trying to do. I mean, if and I mean, one reason is just like kind of his vision and the way he carries himself, and another reason is the fact that, I mean, he's a board member and the chairman of the board, and he does not take any compensation whatsoever from the company, right? Like, even if you look at the other directors, I mean, they get options, they get compensated in different ways. Like, RC declined to take any compensation for his services. I mean, obviously he's, you know, pretty well off. But I mean, I think this is a passion project for him, and like if you look at what he did with Chewy, you know, the company that he built and the company that he ultimately sold. You know, I know kind of we were talking about earlier, like you don't
Jeff, to be
focus
honest,
on executives and the executive management team, like when you look at these things. But I mean, in this particular play, I mean, outside of, I mean, I'm in it for both reasons. Like we were talking about fundamentals versus, you know, some of the things that you see going on with the market. I'm definitely in it for both reasons. But I mean, I personally have a ton of faith in RC.
Chef, one thing, we can discuss about it, but I tell you just right now, like I think it, the company is still existing because we, as retail investors, let them exist. And it's a hard sentence, but think about it. If we wouldn't be there, the company would have a real problem. And then, because we were thinking, yeah, it's long saying, it's long investment, blah, 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 long talking, whatever. Still, I would then expect to give us some kind of perspective. And I'm missing that, to be honest.
Edward, did you have something you wanted to add real quick?
Thank you for that. It's you know, it's not that I don't believe in RC, and it's not that I believe in him too. It's more of like you got just a short comment about what she's saying. You know, I work in a credit union. Credit unions, for those people that don't know, it's kind of like it's basically a financial institution. It's like a bank, but it's a member owned. So which means it's think of it's kind of like a little bit different than GameStop. But I guess what I'm trying to say on that is, you know, I'm in the management team where when we have to provide changes to our staffs and how we do a certain, you know, let's just say on this end is like, you know, a certain way to do things. Even if it's as simple as, you know, the way we hand out money, it takes a lot of time. We need a lot of tests because any small things that we do can create a catastrophic effect on how we can provide service to our members. And I think with what RC is doing is, you know, the reason why he can talk about it is, you know, there's a couple of ways that there's two things to that. One is because maybe he's not allowed to. Second is because he wanted to make sure that before he even says anything, that it's working. Sorry, my kids in the background. So,
It's perfectly fine. Don't
yeah,
worry.
yeah. But again, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that he's not doing anything. I'm not saying that he is doing something. I'm just we got to give him a chance to, you know. Imagine on a lot more smaller, you know, scale. You know, I manage, you know, 12 people, and for me to be able to implement something, it takes me a long time. He's trying to restructure the whole company. I mean, I mean, from what I've heard from radio, I don't know if you guys have talked to her at all or have listened to her. I mean, things that he's doing is completely. I mean, it's amazing. You know, it's not something that you can be done in like 6 months. And I guess what I'm trying to, you know, if you're looking for perspective, you know, just wait a little bit longer. You know, you know, you can't change everything in a year. And you know, I know we're kind of getting impatient. And this is exactly what the hedge funds are trying to do is for us to panic, you know, fight within each other, lose hope in our leaders, or that kind of stuff. It happens to the same thing with companies, you know, in much lower scale, wherein you know when they want to replace a manager, that's what we do is we try to look for ways to find wrong things about that person rather than giving that person a chance. So
Edward,
I guess
just
that's
one
the only thing.
question. Yeah, completely right. But it's not only that short term. You're completely right. But to know where the strategy is going is something which could be answered not taking years, and that's what I'm meaning. When I know there's a new CEO and he knows this is the way we want to go, and he's completely telling us this is the way where the company should go. Something different, isn't it?
I can understand that too.
Well,
But go ahead. Sorry.
well, no, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I mean it's.
I guess.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead. You got it.
I just wanted to add one thing. imagine, what I'm trying to make him understand a little bit is that he's he's acting in a much bigger scale than what I do. And with me, I'm still careful because of minor litigations that I can get. I made the wrong decisions in this. Now a customer is gonna sue us because I made this small decision. Imagine on him how he needs to be very careful in everything that he says and everything that he does. He just can't say much, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not. I still feel thankful. It could have been somebody else out there who think of AMC. I mean, I'm not saying that that person doesn't care about the company, but we don't know what his objections are. He's not the type of person who created Chewy, who did something great in the past, who's probably going to be doing something great in the future. I'm just thankful that he's there, and I'm giving him a little bit more time. I know I can understand your frustration because as much as you are, man, I mean, I feel like shit at work and I want to quit every fucking day. And my boss and I are both like, oh, I just want this to be over. But at the same time, this us losing hope, you know, losing hope on him, it just doesn't help. I guess that's the only thing I wanted to say. And thanks for letting me speak. Sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, I think I think they're really good points. I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said. I mean, like you said, working at the credit union. I mean, changes to processes and things like that. I mean, they do take time and they take a lot of, like you said, planning and thought. And I mean, it can be on a different scale, but they do take time to implement. And I mean, I don't. I think that is one of the things that a lot of people maybe don't understand. But I mean, in terms of hearing from management, hearing from RC, I mean, we talk about RC a lot. I mean, he's chairman of the board, right? And like when you think about any other company, like how much do you hear from the chairman of the board of the company that's not also, president and CEO? Because I mean, like I think the answer is you pretty much hear nothing. I mean, the way he communicates really is through tweets. I mean, there's a lot of reading between the lines, and I mean, there's a lot of speculation. But I mean, he's in a sense. I mean, I think he's giving people signs that he's paying attention to what's being discussed out there on Superstonk and other places. Like a lot of his recent tweets are kind of nods to that. Tweeting memes that people have created on there, and that's kind of just like, hey guys, like I see what you're talking about, like I'm here, I'm listening. But I mean, it's in terms of communication to shareholders, I mean, that's not really his job. I mean, that would be executive management's job. And I think the key point, which I know we've made it a few times, but I mean, it's they're subject to an SEC inquiry right now. I mean, their hands are probably tied. Like even if it wasn't strategic in terms of holding their cards close, like let's say they have like these massive plans in the work and they want to tell us all about it, maybe they can't, because of certain things that are going on here. So I understand the disappointment. I mean, I really do. I mean, I've had a few hours to like reflect on it and stuff, but I mean, with after the 8-minute earnings call, I mean, I was a little bit shocked myself. I mean, that was one of the shortest earnings calls I've ever listened to, and I mean, he essentially read the press release, but just after having some conversations and having some time to reflect upon it, I think I have a better understanding of the reasons for why it was the way that it was, and I mean I think the numbers were pretty positive. I mean I don't know. There's a couple other points I wanted to make on some different things, but I can do it a little bit later. I know we have some other folks that came up here, so I don't know who's first. What, Chase or Radio?
Radio first. How are you, Radio? Long time
Hey,
no see.
yeah, I'm pretty good. I have my son 1 week on, 1 week off, and on the weeks that I don't have him, I stay up all night and sleep in and stuff. So anyway, I'm domestic this week, so a little quiet. But no, I've been working with some folks. Working with, I don't know if you guys know Jeremiah. He's really good in the crypto space. And then I've been working with somebody anonymous on a Reddit that was kind of came out and definitely challenged me. But we've we've started working together, and I've shown him some of my stuff, and he's kind of been helping me detail my research. But I was going to say, I agree with a lot of the points that folks are making here. Like, the earnings call, it's like, making out with some hot guy, all hot and bothered, and then they just get up and, walk away. When they said, and that's all we have to say, click. It's like, whoa, I have feelings about that. But no, I mean, I think that in a way, he's protecting retail investors, because I think that these guys would love nothing more than to take something that he said or GameStop has said and then say, oh, like, look what they did, like, and kind of taint the whole movement and be like, look at these slacktivists and what they did to the economy. So I think they have to be really careful. And I think if you can look at it as them, protecting whatever it is to come and not letting it be, smeared into something that it isn't, you know, that's definitely what it is to me, right? And I don't want anything that comes to market to be to just have this, stamp of shame on it. Like, well, that's really cool that they have this marketplace, but did they really have to ruin the economy in order to do that? And did they really have to use their army to, so anyway, that's how I feel. And I've said before, as I've been kind of looking for, some sort of smoking gun as it relates to, a coin or dividend based coin or some sort of game coin. Um, what there's definitely been an evolution in the last week from where I started and what I saw when I started to what I'm seeing now. And what I'm seeing now is bigger than what I was looking for in the first place. Like, because we have Loopring, we have Arbitrum, we have Gnosis, we've got, you know, we've definitely got, these wallets, this automation. We know that there's a partner marketplace that Loopring keeps talking about is coming in Q4. So there is something coming, and I'm happier that what I see is bigger than what I thought I was going to find a week and a half ago. So it's more exciting today than it was before, and I'm still looking for evidence. But it's all over. Like, the evidence is all over. You see that with Loopring, and you see that with their GitHub repo updates. I mean, these guys are working so hard. Like, and I'm in the Loopring Discord, and people are like, when are we gonna see something Loopring? I mean, these guys are getting hammered, and it's like they're doing code commits like every 30 minutes, all night, every day, 24/7. They're bringing something to market, and it's gonna be fucking awesome. So, I'm still excited about it. And Jeremiah and I actually were talking about holding a space to go over our findings. And it's definitely still a theory. It's not conclusive. We can't say what they're gonna do, but there's really strong evidence for some really cool shit. So I don't know when we're gonna hold that space, but probably this week sometime. So I'll let you guys know. But yeah, for what it's worth.
Thanks, Radio. I look forward to that. I really do. And Jeremiah is a freaking beast when it comes to crypto, for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, let me know when that happens. And I want to tune in.
Okay, cool.
Chase, what do you have for us?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Just going back, I wanted to get back to what Ryan said in the shareholders meeting in June. Quote, we know some people want us to lay out a whole detailed plan today, but that's not going to happen. He also said you won't find us talking a big game, making a bunch of lofty promises, or this is important, telegraphing our strategy to the competition. It's a strategy, guys. And he also said he wants us, or to judge GameStop based on their actions, not on their words. What has Ryan done? He's paid off the long-term debt. He's raised over $1 billion cash for the company. It takes time to turn a brick and mortar near bankrupt business model to what his vision is. So it's not a, it's if you're in it to make a quick buck, you're in the wrong game. Personally, for me, I'm in it because of Ryan and that aspect and the business the transformation of the company, but also the fact that the shorts are in a very disadvantageous position right now. So I'm personally taking advantage of the long play and the short squeeze. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I think it's a great reminder, and it's one of those things like we all may have heard that before, but just like to hear it again, like particularly now, I think it's important because it's, if you believe in management, like if you believe in RC and like what he said, he's doing exactly what he said. Like, what else should we expect, right? And I mean, I think like for most of us, I mean, it probably is a combination of that. I mean, I know it is for me. I mean, it's a combination of like fundamentals and what I see with the company, and like obviously what you see, going on with the markets, over the past, 9 months, a year, or whatever. It's like it's become clear to us during that time. But I mean, this has been going on for a really, really long time. And I know Kenna can, discuss the history, a lot better than I can. I mean, I'm doing a lot of, research on it. I mean, reading some books and things like that. But I mean, it becomes, really obvious. Just looking at what's going on now, like how long it's been going on, and some of these other, dead stocks that are being brought up, which I know we've discussed quite a bit in the last week. But there's just, I mean, there's so much to it, and I guess like along those lines, I mean, I think one of the really kind of key and important things about the play is the non-U.S. investment in it, because I mean, I think that could ultimately be part of the linchpin. Like even though there are probably, when you look at the markets, like there is like a world elite to a certain extent that has the capital to control a lot of what's going on. I don't, without getting too political or talking about like too many different things. I mean, I do feel like for the vast majority of the population, I mean, they're pretty well controlled here, and you could even take a group as large as this and make them seem as though they're on the fringe, or that they don't fully understand what they're talking about, or that they took risk that was outside of what they understood. But I think when you get as much foreign investment interest in this as there is, it starts to promote more of a system of global accountability, which at this point may well be needed. I mean, I saw something earlier today, like Walter Bloomberg had tweeted out some.
But let us get this game or this play getting to an end in a fine way, and then let's talk about what you're addressing right now, because we are here and we all see that there's a lot of stuff that's not all right.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, I think they're connected. I mean, I think that, I mean, to the extent that maybe some of these elements weren't here, that it might not come to an end necessarily, and it could be quietly swept under the table. And just real quick, and then I'll kind of hand it back to you. Like this, I mean, one thing that I saw that was interesting today is that somebody from the Bank of England came out and said, do I think that meme stocks such as GME should be damaging to the economy or will damage an economy? Like, no, but it certainly raises some questions about the integrity of the U.S. financial market. And I mean, I think that's an important point. And for other countries to be publicly stating things like that, and for other central banks to be publicly stating things like that, I think it's becoming, a a global issue with global eyes on it. It's not all centered around this particular company, but as that kind of thing continues to happen, like the potential for sweeping it under the rug through, cronyism, for lack of a better word, like decreases.
That's why they're getting afraid.
Well, and I think you brought up a good point too, with it being with a global eyes, right? Like, and I've said this before, we're in a very crucial period right now when it comes to our stock exchange, our economy, and how the US is viewed in that sense. Like, eyes are on us, guys, and how this gets handled and how this plays out is going to have major impacts. Because, if there is anything, if there is any kind of foul play that prohibits the average person from making it in the stock market, the international investors, whether they're, financial institutions or just retail investors, they are not going to trust our economy, our stock market. They're going to say, well, it's not a fair market, it's not a free market like they proclaim, and only the top 1% gets to play ball and actually win. It would be a very bad thing, and so I think that's the big thing that we all kind of have to remember.
I'm not sure about that. I definitely lost faith in the stock market, especially US stock market, to be honest. I'm not sure if the common retail investor even knows what we are talking about.
Well, I mean, if anyone that's in this, okay, so do I have any other international people in here? I'm scrolling down. If anyone can pull up like a fist or 100%, like if you're not in the US, is there anyone in here?
So what you're looking for, not in the US.
Okay, yeah, anyone that's not in the US, that's investing in the US. I see you, Ellie, and I think that's the only person that put anything up. So yeah, okay. So Ellie, if I can have 100%, this one's for you. So if this doesn't play out the appropriate way, if we get this system completely rigged against us and they say, nope, sorry, you can't do this, 100% if you would invest again into the stock market, or a fist if you would say, screw the US, I'm going to go to the German or Asian markets. Putting you on the spot a little bit. While you think about that for a sec. 100%. So you would reinvest into the U.S. stock market. That's incredible. Okay. So she proved my point wrong. Because like seeing that actually surprised me, honestly. Because so what we saw already with the volatility that's going on with the meme stocks, and this whole like with the committee and everything going on. Oh, she's gonna come up and talk. Cool. Is that we already see financial institutions pulling out of our stock market and going to the Asian market because it's a little more stable. So I think that's very interesting. Ellie, can you elaborate on your choices?
Yeah, sure. Hi, thanks for letting me talk. I'm really enjoying.
It looks like she's probably she's in the dark realm as she's coming up. But oh man, I think I see a plane.
Oh, she was talking. Can you not hear her?
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Ellie.
Yeah, I think actually your question or my answer to your question isn't as simple as that. I don't actually have any faith in the UK stock market either. So I think your question maybe should be, more of would I reinvest in any stock market? And the answer there might be no. I don't know.
Oh.
That there seriously needs to be some sort of regulation going on. I think the UK stock market is probably even worse. So, our bankers are less regulated than your guys are, I think.
Oh, that's very interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that one. I appreciate that input. That's very intriguing.
Don't forget the shorting, which is not that easily possible in the European market, even in the UK.
Did you guys see that video by Comedy Central hosting Jim Cramer? He busted himself out, told on himself.
No, what are you talking about, Corey? I'm intrigued.
But I think he's talking about the Daily Show interview, like the one that the interview with like Jon Stewart. I mean, it was a while back, but yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
there's that one. I mean, which is huge. I mean, there's an interview he did on thestreet.com like years and years ago, which was like his website where, I mean, he basically laid out the way like his hedge fund would go, you know, short companies and you know, foment information to, you know, push companies down. I mean, it's definitely a really good point. I mean, and that's just the game. I mean, that's what I think.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
still a behavior happening. I think
It's actually on my profile page if you want to look at it and pin it to the top. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I'll do it. All right, it's pinned to the top. No, I hadn't seen this one. But I will definitely watch it after this. No, and I mean that's the thing though. So and like Ellie, because I did know that that it's not easily to short in the European markets like it is here. So yeah, I'm really gonna have to dive into the European markets to see how different it is in the Asian markets and see how different it is in those terms. See which one's actually more stable, I guess would be a good word. Not that any of them are stable by any means, but just to kind of see. And coming in from a global trip, Citadel Air is gracing us with his presence. How are you, Citadel?
I am well, Kenna. How are you?
I'm
I'm
so
good.
happy you're here, dude. It's been a while.
It's been a hot minute. I've been kind of recovering from travel from a week or so prior, but I'm back getting settled.
Yeah.
But to speak with the Asian markets, you know, I have some familiarity with South Korea, and they had such a shorting problem that it made their stock market, South Korea's market, so unstable, volatile, and nearly crashed or collapsed its own market due to the amount of shorting going on, that they straight outright banned and made it illegal to short. And I know that was either, forgive me, I'm fuzzy on dates, but I know that was at least a part of this year, and I'm not sure. It was due to expire, I think, in June or July. I don't know if they continued it, but I do know for a substantial period of time for market recovery and for stabilization, they said shorting is a no-go, made it very illegal, and made the penalties more than just the slap on the wrist SEC thing we have here, for what it's worth.
I appreciate you knowing that. I really do, because I didn't actually hear about that in that market. So they're kind of following suit with like the German market and stuff like that, then with the no shorting allowed type thing.
Yeah, I don't know if they've. I have to look, but I don't know if they renewed it, or if they
no,
if
no,
they're.
shorting everywhere happens, doesn't it, Citadel? I think the regulations might be more discreet, more strict in some regions. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I concur. I was just citing an example where South Korea, their exchange, the government stepped in and said it's a no-go on shorting. Period. It was not permitted, and if you were to do it, the penalties were exorbitant. I don't know if they've allowed it to. I
I
don't know
think
if they reinstated it or not. I have to look, but that was supposed to come up in June or July, I think, of this year.
So Citadel, were you able to listen to the earnings call today for GME?
I caught part of it. I was in the car, and then I had another call come in. So I caught part, and I was going to listen to the replay. I just got home a little while ago, but I was going to listen to the replay this evening. I know what the general financial consensus was, and then I was following along the ticker after hours naturally. But
Okay. I didn't know if you got to listen to the 8-minute little speech.
I was about to say, if you heard part of it, you probably heard most of it.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. In typical GME fashion. Okay, understood.
Right, but again, like I mean, I don't I kind of want to underscore Chase's point, like when it comes back to what RC said in the last earnings call. I mean, it's completely in line, right? Like, follow our actions, not our words. We're not trying to disclose strategies to the competition, and we want you to look at us for what we're doing and not what we say. And they said very little. It was purely factual based on the results, and that was that. Take it for what you will.
No, that's my kind of to be blunt. I wish more calls were like that. We're straight to business, factual, on point, less fluff, and get on and move forward. I mean, estimates are estimates, but not so much looking at where looking at the past, but if forward-looking statements. Actions speak louder than words, and I think there's a lot of positive momentum. Despite what I did catch what Bloomberg was saying later, and then they were ripping in the GME pretty badly, and some other commentary, but in the typical meme stock fashion. But overall I had a sense of positivity and optimism, for what it's worth.
Well, and that's actually a good point. Like, it's what I kind of said earlier when we were all talking. The only bad thing with social media in this whole instance, right, is that everything is laid out. Like, if everything gets put out there, then the hedge funds that are shorting, or anyone that's wanting these companies to fail, they know what the game plan is. They know how to reallocate assets into different ways to continue to short the stock and everything. Because at the end of the day, like, they're in it for them and their clients, because they do not want to go under. They're in the business of making money, and sadly they do it in such ways that hurt many people. And so, I think it's smart. I think it's very smart that they're keeping it very, close to the hip and, quiet until they are ready to release the information that, needs to be said. It's a need to know basis. When it's pertinent to the situation. So, if they are going to release a dividend, a special dividend, then yeah, when they are ready to do that, instead of giving, these hedge funds a 3-6 month head start of, okay, let's load up on the shorts, let's load up on ammo to continue shorting the stock. No, they're just going to come out and be like, hey, next week there's a dividend or something. I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but that would be the best way to play it, because then you can catch them off guard. Because from what I know, a lot of these board members, whether it's GME or Meta or any of these companies, they're tired of these predatory shortings. And that's what it is. They're predatory. They're going after companies that, hey, COVID just hit. It killed a lot of, liquidity for these businesses, and they saw blood in the water, and they were sharks, and they went after them. And so there's blood in the water again, but it's not for AMC and GME. There's not blood in the water now. It's a reverse situation, and now they get to kind of say, we're done. You're not doing this to our companies.
Anna, that exactly is the point where I disagree, because I think it's time to do something for the investors, and they benefited a lot from retail investors. They did. Otherwise, they wouldn't maybe not be here anymore.
Well,
And
right.
it's not about exaggerating and stuff and whatever. It's about telling strategies.
Right,
And
but they just built their new team.
in
They
my
lit
That's not
they
something which takes years. It's not
yeah,
something that has to be worked out for the next 5 years. It's something which can be seen and that we're gonna head there. So there I disagree. I'm sorry.
Well, and that's fine. But I mean, you also have to remember they rebuilt their team. Like it takes a little bit of time for the cohesion and everybody to kind of get on the same page because you have people coming in from Chewy, from Amazon, from all other different companies, and they're trying to figure out, okay, if we're reinventing this company, what's the best strategy to do? And they have to have time and a way to figure out what they can do, right? And so then you have new developers, you have if they're doing a cloud base, they have to get that set up, they have to, and this all does take time. This is not a snap at the finger. If you've ever coded or anything like that and done something that no one's ever done, it's going to take time. And so that's where I think just kind of keeping tight-lipped about it until you can say just blow everyone out of the water, like, hey, we've been working on this and this is now ready to be released, here it is. PB Jelly, I saw your hand up. What's going on?
That's okay. Kent had his hand up first. I'm perfectly happy with him going first.
Oh, I didn't remember who went up first. I can't stop. What's going on?
That's cool.
It's all good. So like three things really. So the SEC investigation, right? Maybe they can't say anything because of that. And then I think, Ryan Cohen is not allowed to really talk about it until I think March of 2022, right? Like he's not allowed to say anything about the company or any of that shit. It's part of the deal he signed or the contract he signed back when he, bought those shares or something. And then like sure, I'd love to hear everything they're doing. Like, I want them to just, we're doing this, that, like, oh, it's going to be fucking great. But then all the competition's going to know what they're doing. And maybe others are set up in a better, easier position to do that before they can accomplish it. And that shit would be fucked up. I wouldn't want that to happen. So, I'd rather have them just keep their mouth shut and just fucking, when we're not expecting it, boom, like holy shit, and just blow everything out of the water. Because there's plenty of other companies that are way bigger and all that have a lot more funds and all kinds of shit like behind them, that if they were to lay out their plan, how do you know all these other companies wouldn't get together or even do it by themselves and execute quicker because they already have all the resources already in place? They just don't know what. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like,
I'll jump in on that, and I'll say I completely second your point. I'll also second Kenneth's point. Um, at that level, guys, these guys are patient. When you're working at a VP level, a CEO level, or a C level, you are patient and you're very, very diligent about what you actually share. Because of the competitive aspects, but we also have to understand one thing is they've not only changed their entire team, but they've made a fundamental shift in their business model, going from brick and mortar retail to going directly into e-commerce. That is a huge step. It's a leap in a completely different direction. And I guarantee you that RC is bringing trade secrets, not illegally bringing trade secrets, but bringing trade secrets that he was able to develop at Amazon that nobody else has access to, nobody else has the understanding and the knowledge of. So he is going to be naturally very tight-lipped on that for two reasons. Number one, he's going to be cutting edge, and he's already proven it in what he's done. I'm actually surprised about the earnings, but that's okay. I think from what I read and from what I looked at on the financial reports, it looks like the majority of that missing earnings was really as a result of the overhead that it's been costing to increase what they're doing in terms of the e-commerce market, their distribution channels, etc. So he's got to be careful from that point. He doesn't want to give away trade secrets, but as well, he also has a previous fiduciary responsibility to keep certain things under wraps that Amazon is doing. So he has to be careful from a competitive aspect there, because Amazon can come after him depending on the contracts that he signed with them and the releases that he's positioned himself there. He has to be very careful with what he says. But I love, and I'll tell you what's very bullish for me, and I honestly didn't get a chance to hear the full conversation, but I heard the wind of it through a couple of different channels. When he is talking about things like, when they're talking about things like, look at our actions, that is extremely bullish to me. Because when a CEO stops talking about, hey, let me give you the fluff of what we're doing and say, hey, just wait, just watch, that is a power move. So that's just for me, having been at the senior levels of corporate, I respect that. I look at that and I say, hey, that's the guy I'm going to follow.
Pebby, may I ask you one question? Because like you're talking right now, that's really like someone is talking, investing, starting beginning of January, going long. Would you recommend someone to start investing right now?
Number one, I'm not going to make any recommendations to anybody. I think everybody's got to do their own. I'll answer your question. Don't get me wrong. But I want to preface it with this. So number one, I want to be clear with everybody. I have not been in since January. I've been in since June. That was the time that things came onto my radar, and I started having a little bit of, decision-making authority with my own finances. Mainly, I just have my broker deal with everything, but I started seeing the GameStop and the AMC fiasco going on, and I said, hey, you know what? I want to take a pool of my own money and start playing around with it. And I invested heavily in both. And right now, I would say what the pathway that GME is on is hugely solid. So I am heavily invested and heavily reinvesting and continuing to invest in it. So if you're going to look at me as an example, by all means, I am continuing to go long and I'm continuing to go heavy. I'm not going to give you my ratios of AMC to GME, but there are 3 stocks that I'm trading in on my own. AMC, GME, the other one I'm not going to talk about because it's completely outside of the circle of meme stocks, but GME is definitely something that I'm invested in, and I would encourage people to do your research, look at the growth of the company, look at what they have an opportunity to do in transitioning from the brick and mortar, which is, and I'm not going to say a failing system, but which is an evolving system that is really not growing. It's in a low growth environment, but the e-commerce environment is heavily growing. And look at the amount of investment that they're doing in that e-commerce, and look at who they brought in on their team. So if you take those 3 points or those few points that I just mentioned and you're not bullish on it, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you shouldn't be in the stock market. Sorry to put it that way. I don't want to discourage you, but
maybe I'm bullish for another reason, not just the company development, to be honest, even though the company development is really great, to be honest, definitely. But there are some other people here, and
I think
I just lost you.
I think Paul's hand's been up.
Yeah, sure. How's everyone doing? Good evening to everybody. PB, good to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Kenna, thanks for bringing me up. Just wanted to say I saw this space. I jumped in. So bullish on GME. I think so. A few of the things I just wanted to say about today. Yeah, sure. At first look, it was underwhelming. I was taking my dog for a walk, listening to the earnings call, and when Matt Furlong signed off, I was like, "What the f? I mean, that's where you cut it off? No way, buddy! Like, we need more than this." But I just wanted to just say a couple of things in and around the the cloaking, if you will. There's so much going on here, and I think it was PB who was talking about Matt Furlong's fiduciary responsibilities and many of the other team members at Amazon who have now joined on board. But I think what you got to look at here, I mean, the short squeeze is a play. It's a swing play. But even after the short squeeze, whether it comes or not, I'm doubling down back into GME again because I personally see them as becoming the next very formidable rival to Amazon. And I mean, if you look at it from a few perspectives, number one, Ryan Cohen is unbelievable. Look what he did with Chewy. There was one, he went through this transformation with Chewy when they first started. So they used what was called 3PL, third party logistics. And he quickly recognized that to scale this company and to drive it to the state that he needed it to get to, they needed to have fulfillment in house. So when I heard about these additional fulfillment centers, that we already knew of them, they were mentioned across different feeds in the past about the different fulfillment centers and now the scope and scale for them to be able to manage fulfillment across North America, state to state. I mean, I'm over the moon on the whole company. One thing I just wanted to say, so outside of that earnings call, have faith, look deeper into the leadership team that they brought on. And just take a look at that leadership team. 70% of them are from Amazon. The other 20 to 30% of them are his right hand lieutenants at Chewy. Okay. A business they started from scratch has sold for 3.6 billion in 8 years. And this time he's just got a heck of a lot more resources and opportunity behind him with this entire community. And so I just wanted to share that, my sentiments on it. I'm so bullish on this company. It's unbelievable. I think far after any potential squeeze, they're going to be an absolute wrecking ball in the e-commerce space. I think Amazon's got to have a lot to be worried about with GME and where they're going, hands down. Um, and also, I think it was a gentleman named Fosca. I'll close out with this. And again, I'm so appreciative you guys had me up here. If you look at an investment, and again, we won't get into financial advice, but what I will give you, and I think PB touched on it, take a look at what, if you want to know whether you're in the right play and should I keep this going, take a look at what brick and mortars are evaluated at. Okay, brick and
Definitely,
mortar.
that's a really good advice. But to be honest, I gonna do it for myself. I know what I'm gonna invest for myself,
Oh, for
but
sure.
I also know maybe I don't advise others to invest at a special price because
Well, I'll tell you this. So sorry, Fosca. I'll close out here, and then I'll just sit back and listen to this amazing community. But the one of the anchors for me, and I got every expendable dollar I can into GME going, and here is my thought process behind it. When you look at their evaluation of a brick and mortar, it's 2.5 times sales. Okay, and you can look at any brick and mortar retailer and you'll find that on Yahoo Finance. But when you look at Amazon or when you look at Chewy, you'll find it's anywhere between 5 and 6 times sales. So just the transition in going to e-commerce, the way I look at it, even if there was no squeeze, I'm up to about 3 times the
but
current stock price, given
is
their
this like
execution.
is this like stock market works, like you were saying, Paul?
Oh, these are just typical evaluations that I look at from different segments of business. So when you're looking at, and these are baselines, and you'll find that Amazon is right now running at a 5.5 times sales. I forget which brick and mortar it was. I think it was Dick's that was running at 2.5, and these are
What's,
standard valuations. So
what is Alibaba doing?
Alibaba actually, that's
Alibaba's
the
not brick and mortar though.
they're not. They are. Yeah, right. And one piece there though that I think there's some other constraints there given the social economic and the political landscape they're running in. But Alibaba,
That
I
was
was
just
into for a while. I
was
just
it
felt they were very undervalued. I'm
Fosca,
sorry. You know
you've
what? I'm gonna sit back. Yeah,
no,
and
no,
thank you
Paul.
all.
Actually, Paul, I have something for you. Fosca, you've got to stop interrupting everybody because it gets it really hard to hear everyone. But Paul, no, I think to go back to your thing where they could be challenging Amazon, I really think they are going to try to start filling the void that Fry's Electronics actually left because since Fry's Electronics went under, I don't know if you know what that is, Micro Center or whatever. Like Micro Center it was kind of Fry's competition. But do you know what Fry's is?
I'm sorry, not totally familiar with that
Oh,
brand. No.
okay. So Fry's Electronics was this massive like warehouse style electronics store that you could do online or go into the brick and mortar. And like they had, I mean, modular pieces to build PCs. They had their consoles, the TVs. Like, it was this massive store that you could just buy almost anything that you want off of Amazon. And usually they price matched like Newegg and Amazon and a few other online shops, right? But so Fry's Electronics went down. They went bankrupt. They closed their doors earlier this year. And so right after that happened, GameStop started carrying modular pieces to build PCs.
For
So
sure. Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
it was very coincidental that this started happening. And so, because originally GameStop didn't carry PC parts. You couldn't go to you had to go to Best Buy and pay some astronomical price for a freaking graphics card or a hard drive or whatever. And I say this as someone that my husband and I built our PCs and we upgrade our PC parts, and so we always we usually have to order it offline or whatever. But I think that might be where they find their little funny niche, is that they're going to try to fill that void that Fry's left, because even Micro Center is kind of like Fry's. It's the same concept, not as big of a store, but they have modular pieces and computers and whatever other electronics. But I could see that being a route that they take because of, well, the apes game, obviously. And so we have PC games, we have consoles, we have all these other things. So they're getting into this e-commerce thing, so it'd be very, very interesting to see if they go that route, right?
Yeah, 100%. And again, for me, the thing I think that I'm most excited about, and that we're not even talking about the blockchain and NFT that they're bringing into play, but the fulfillment center and controlling fulfillment and distribution to customers. There's no one better than Ryan Cohen to help lead that, and I'm just so excited about this company and about all their future. So I'm gonna step back there, but thank you, Kenna, for inviting me up, and thank you all. What a pleasure to be here with you guys, enjoying
Of
the
course.
conversation.
I appreciate you coming up 100%. Can't stop.
I'm
I
also
think you were
gonna have to
next.
bow out.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
It's 9:44. My bedtime is early. I'm too old, and I've got super busy days ahead. But Kenneth, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you very, very much for having me up to speak.
Of course.
This conversation, I just retweeted it out because the conversation that you guys have here is top notch. It's extremely bright, extremely well laid out. You are a fantastic host. So thank you so much for doing what you do.
I appreciate it, PB. Hey, by the way, did you catch any of last night's craziness?
No.
Oh my God. So
What did I miss? Give me Cole's note.
we had Jackson Hunter and Boss Blunts on last night doing Broad Market.
Oh, nice.
It's a 3-hour podcast that you'll have to go whenever
Send me
you
a link,
can.
please.
I will.
I won't be able to get to it until after the weekend, but
That's fine. No, it was epic. It was so good. Boss
I,
Blunts dropped so much DD on us. It was phenomenal.
sweet. Yeah, no, both those guys I absolutely love. Hunter for his DD, but his motivational, and
His
Boss
TA is
Blunt
phenomenal.
just
Yeah.
on point. He's on point. He really is. So yeah, do me a favor, Kenna, if you don't forget. If not, I'm gonna lay it on Citadel because he decided to be co-host. Send me a DM with the link to that. I would love to listen to it.
They were forced. Citadel and Chef were both forced because of staff. They didn't have
Exactly, as it should be.
No,
All right, guys.
Thanks, PB, for coming in. I appreciate it.
No worries. Citadel, we got to catch up at some point in time. I miss you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. But I'm out of here, guys. I'm gonna get some sleep. My beauty rest.
Good night.
Likewise, amigo.
Good night, man. Thanks for coming up.
We'll catch up, man.
Cheers, guys.
All right, can't stop. What's going on?
Just a few things. I think Paul kind of touched on it. I think it's just amazing, like the senior execs that they got from Amazon. I mean, Amazon's a huge company. It's like the biggest or second biggest, right next to Apple or something. It's huge, right? These guys and some females that they got are sitting like pretty much at the top of the world. The most, the most expensive company, all that. They're sitting at the very top. Yet they seen something in GameStop or in Ryan Cohen or in the transformation that made him say, hey, you know what? Fuck yeah, I'm on board. Like, I mean, just to think about what it takes to leave, like you're sitting at the top. I mean, I would just think that in their mind, they're like, oh shit, this is going to be better than what we got going on over here. Or why would you leave that job? And then, I mean, GameStop's been, they've been selling stuff they never sold before. You can go online. I mean, it's amazing. Like, I think they're selling iPhones and stuff now. Like, they're really getting into the whole electronics and everything and gaming. I mean, it's such a big, big space. Like, so much money in that stuff. And I was going to say something else, but I forgot.
We'll think about it and then let us know. But yeah, you're right. And that's what I was saying. Is like they're selling things that they've never sold before. Like I told you guys earlier, like I remember going as a child to GameStop and there was literally just games, like cartridges everywhere. There wasn't this whole LAN party setup to where that you can go and play on the computers against your friends or whatever. There wasn't all these plushes, and there wasn't phones, and there wasn't modular pieces for PC gaming, and I mean it's phenomenal. And I mean, and think about it, like when you go into a GameStop, they're not that big. They're not that big of a store. So to see it from floor to ceiling with all kinds of stuff for entertainment purposes, I love it. I absolutely love it. Citadel? Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I remember that too, walking in and it felt like I was walking into Radio Shack and I would bring my games in and be like, how much can I get for like
Sorry,
for NES Duck
definitely.
Hunt? And they would be like 40 cents, and I'd be like, oh, that's a sad day, but here, I'll take credit and I'll go get another game. And it's completely revolutionized, and it is no longer the Radio Shack or old school GameStop that I remember. So I agree with you 100%.
For sure. Cousin, what did you have to add? I knew your hand was up originally. Cousin. I don't think Cousin's mic's working. um,
If not, Edward was raising his hand too. If Cousin doesn't get his mic figured out.
Yeah, Cousin, we'll come right back to you. Edward, what's going on?
Just wanted to add something. You know, again, sorry for coming back again. I'm just correlating on what I know compared to what I can add to. You guys are really smart people. So in the credit union, where I work at, and one of the things that our issue is, we've always been that local credit union where.
Hey, how are you?
Sorry. Is he speaking?
No, he dropped down.
Okay. So our biggest thing is we were the local credit union. How often does the reason why your kids bank with us is because their parents did, and how well we treated them. If you think of it, it's very similar to how GameStop is, and it's passing the baton to the younger ones. But the issue that we're having now is most of the younger kids nowadays, and that's why it's very, very crucial for them to get into e-commerce, is how do exactly how you said it, kind of, wherein you remember coming into GameStop, as a young kid, and how amazing that felt, and how great that felt. But the kids nowadays don't get that feeling. Those kids that we're talking about are now in their 20s. They're the same people who's going to spend the same amount of money we do, if not a little bit more, in gaming.
But Edward, to be honest, you won't understand what Citadel said before when he told about Radio Shack. You never understand what he's talking about. Time's changing.
It is, and what I was trying to get at with the whole thing is, how do you get those people in? How do you get those people's buy-ins? And that's the same problem we're having issues with the credit union, is we're losing the, I don't know what we call them, Gen Zs, because of it's easier to bank online. It's easier to make your banking. It's easier to just get a debit card, and then you don't need banks. You don't need more brick and mortars. But in reality, it is important for you to have brick and mortars, because how else are you going to view the product? As much as it's easy it is for you to be able to do the e-commerce, it goes hand in hand. But what I'm trying to say is it's crucial for us
But
to.
you're talking about cultural differences, as you're talking about cultural changes.
I guess what I'm trying to say
Well,
is
it's not even.
it's just crucial for us. It's crucial for them. I guess I'm agreeing with the e-commerce thing. I'm just integrating how that would integrate to the GameStop, and how it would be beneficial for them to do that in the future. and why they're doing all that. And I'm actually grateful that they did that. Otherwise, they would have been no different than Blockbuster. And that's what the biggest
Poor
issue of Blockbuster
Blockbuster.
is, because they never integrated, you know, what do you call those people? But they never made it easier for people to. It's but you do miss it if you think of it. That experience of being able to still go in and then choose your movies like that is still an experience. I'm not saying that it should have been still present now, but what I'm saying is both of those parts could have lived if they just upgraded to doing the same thing that GameStop is doing.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that, and I think that is the best thing that they could have done is gone towards the e-commerce route for sure. Like I think that like I said, they're putting themselves into the 22nd century. They're bracing for that, and we have COVID around, and COVID's not going anywhere anytime soon. So they have to reinvent their business model, which that it's very brave to do. Especially with everything going on, so many eyes on them and everything. It's very brave, and they're restructuring their board, they're restructuring their
Kenna,
higher
not
ups. And
not
Fosca,
not
I'm
brave,
talking.
not brave, but necessary. Excuse me.
Well, hold on. So no, it still is brave. It still is very brave because they could have kept the same people and tried to work it out that way. Now that would have been completely asinine, in my opinion, because obviously they were failing miserably. But I mean, it is still brave because they shook it up. They shook their entire business model up. Because everyone is accustomed to Amazon. Everyone's accustomed to Newegg, and these already instilled companies online that everyone knows and trusts. That, oh yeah, well I can have Prime and everything will be here in a day or 2 days. And GameStop is actually pushing forward and opening these redistribution centers, or these distribution centers all across the country, just to make sure that people are getting their product that they order so much faster. So it is actually a very interesting thing to see. So and then I'm going to okay, cousin, I know you had problems. Is your mic working now?
Hello?
Hey, yes, it is working.
All right, it is working now. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I don't know. Should I just jump right in what I was gonna get into?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I want to hear what you were gonna say.
Okay. Um, so I don't want to. I hope I don't repeat some stuff because I missed some of your podcast. I apologize for that. It seems that there are some people that are a little disappointed with earnings, and I know we've talked about the last earnings call and what Ryan has laid out for his strategy, but what he specifically said was that we're not going to lay out a detailed plan because we're not going to telegraph our strategy to the competition. He also laid out two very specific goals: delighting customers and driving shareholder value for the long term. Those are the two goals. So that's it. I mean, he's not gonna, if you look at what happened with Chewy, past doesn't always indicate future, of course, but when you have some history to look at, it's always a good thing. So if we were to look at Ryan's history with Chewy, I think that's fair. He started it with very little. He found a niche, the pet niche, and he took away money from Amazon by scaling that business. How much money did he take from Amazon? Which, by the way, when he was running Chewy, they randomly dropped a pharmacy on people. There was no online pet pharmacy, and they just decided one day, oh yeah, by the way, we also sell pet meds, and deal with it. Hey, doctors, hit us up, we can help you out. Like it just, he didn't tell you, hey, oh, by the way, next year we're probably going to launch. They just do it. So anyway, how much money did he steal from Amazon? Well, it's a $31 billion company right now, and if you really want some confirmation bias, if you just use a basic formula to determine market cap. So if you think about the video game sphere, it's an almost $200 billion industry, and there is no dedicated retailer other than GameStop for video games. So if you think he can do that again with resources, if you think he can just steal a little bit of money from Amazon again, starting with a full-ass company instead of from scratch in a website, but a nationwide company with loyal customers already. So if you think he can do that again in the video game atmosphere, let's just do the math. If you go with the $31 billion that Chewy is worth, and you just say, oh, GameStop could probably be worth $31 billion comparatively, forget about all the retail and everything that they got going on, but just website to website, right? If you do that math, $31 billion market cap times the not times, but divided by the 74 million shares of GameStop that exist, you get a price target of $420 per share. Confirmation biased. Mic dropped.
Sven, I'm sorry. You go again, you make a difference. At one point you say, okay, it's a great investment to go. And that was my question I would ask you. Would you someone recommend, not as a financial advice, at a price at 195 or whatever,
Yes.
to invest?
Yes.
But,
I am highly considering Mr. Fosca. I have $4,000 in my top drawer that is supposed to be going towards a new roof, and I'm really contemplating putting that on GameStop instead. No, I think it's one of the most asymmetric opportunities in the market today, Mr. Fosca. That's what I believe. Because you have very, very little downside. So the only thing that's even remotely a comparison would be like crypto. But crypto can go to zero. I mean, I don't think crypto will go to zero, but you see big drops in crypto.
Change the subject. Don't change the subject right now, Sven.
I'm not changing any subject. What do you got, sir?
Yeah, because we're going to crypto. I was talking about GME right now, like the topic we have. To be honest, but that's good because then you're convinced, and that's good.
I think you should always have confidence in your investment. You should be confident in your thesis. You should know why you're invested in something. I know why I'm invested in it. So I'm very, very confident. I've done the math. It's really easy for me. It's as simple as doing math because, I'm not going to invest thousands of dollars for a short squeeze potential. I know they cheat. The math supports a short squeeze, but they cheat.
Definitely.
No, may I speak? The math supports a short squeeze, but they cheat. But they cannot cheat fundamental value. So I am not scared because fundamentally value speaking, GameStop is worth many, many, many more billions of dollars than it currently is on paper. They have almost $2 billion in the bank. They've increased their sales. You'll see. I'm not worried about it. I'll see. But go ahead. What else do you got, sir?
Sven, I'm with you. I don't disagree. The problem is where I disagree is I wouldn't. At the moment, I'm really scared to tell someone in my friends' places. Go,
Mr. Fosca.
Hi,
Mr. Fosca.
Don't call me Mr.
Okay, just Fosca. Am I saying it right? I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, Fosca. I feel the same way about AMC. There's a lot of short squeeze potential there, but I have trouble seeing some of the fundamental value. And I think what the story is with AMC is that we're just a little bit earlier to the party on AMC, and there's a little bit more work ahead of them. But I have that trouble because on a fundamental basis, I feel like they're a little overvalued. So to me, it's a little more lotto ticket ish. I get scared when it gets to those higher numbers because it's a lot. But I think we're real early on AMC, and I think that between the hype and between the positive direction that Adam Aaron is taking the company, he's listening to the shareholders. If the shareholders move the company forward, you got the same thing going on in AMC. But what I'm saying is, Fosca, is that I relate to that. But that's why it comes to just being confident in your thesis. I haven't done the same level of research in AMC that I've done in GameStop. My level of research for AMC has been paying attention for the last 9 months, and the fact that they turned off the buy button in January. So I know that it's a good idea to buy that. But
can I say something?
Okay.
Just one sentence, if you don't mind, very
One
quickly.
second, inflation. 1 second, Inflation. You're going to be next, I promise you. But guys, I'm Fasca and Chase and a few others that have been up here for a while. I'm going to have to take you down because we do have other people that need to be requested, and you guys have been up here almost this whole time. So, Fasca, I do appreciate your insight. You know, you are the counter side, and I know you probably speak for a lot of people that are kind of weary about getting into GameStop or AMC or anything like this because it is a lot. It is a lot, and I do appreciate that side of the argument 100%. So I do thank you for coming up here and being the voice of the people that are skeptical of it. I think it's pretty cool. And Chase, always a pleasure to have you up here. Ellie, I appreciate you. Do you two have anything left that you want to say at all before I take you down? No? Okay.
Is it okay if I say one sentence really quickly?
Yes, Inflation, you go for it. You've been waiting so patiently. I appreciate it.
Okay, I just want to mention something that everyone really underestimated or overlooked is the fact that Ryan Cohen and GameStop really focuses on their customers and the customer care, especially that they invested in Florida for customer care and focusing on their customers and what they think and what they want to keep them happy. Because anywhere I go, no matter if it's Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, whoever it is, if any company treats me like shit, I'll never go back. That's all I have to say. And that's all they have been focusing on. And I believe that Ryan Cohen has been focusing on that with Chewy, and he has succeeded with it. And I believe he will succeed with it with the GameStop. And nobody has ever mentioned that at all.
That's goal number one, delighting customers. Yes, sir. 100%.
I agree with you 100%. Unfortunately, I have yet to have GameStop reply to a single tweet or email from Citadel Air, so I'm still working for a response. Citadel Air has not been delighted yet by GameStop, but one day I hope that will be the case.
Yeah, you know, to be fair, I mean, for the verified GameStop, that is what, you know, that's what I'd call a risky click, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, so never mind. I just think of that clip that you're like, I'm clipping Dr. Trimbath saying it was a pleasure, Citadel, because that sentence and that podcast will live on for infamy. Like it will. I mean, in the fact that she even laughed, she was like, "Dang it, he got me."
Yeah, she even I have that that soundbite ready as a sound drop for a special occasion in the near future, if and when something happens. So that will, and there's a whole montage of it.
Oh no!
And she in the she did give me permission in the letter that I got the week later, and the other books that she sent me in the mail. Like she made a joke about it. So she did find it amusing. But there will be an epic. Suzanne, thank you, Citadel montage sound drop coming soon to a video meme near you.
That's awesome. And Inflation, no, I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of things with RC that we haven't even, you know, considered. You know, he's done so much already with different companies. So I think you're definitely spot on with that. Yeah, that's all I got for you, buddy. Antimatter, what's going on? I know you were next.
Yeah, thanks. You know, I just wanted to add on to what I think Edward was mentioning. You know, there's a potential generational gap within GameStop's consumer base. Like the youth of today don't have that same experience that you were talking about. Kind of, you know, I'm around the same age, and you know, I have a very similar. Just in memories, you know, going into GameStop buying used games because we could never afford the brand new video games. They always had to be used. You know, and the youth of today won't have that same nostalgia going into GameStop. But as I have said on previous podcasts, this ultimately adds to why I'm bullish on GameStop. They have an opportunity in front of them, an opportunity to increase their consumer base. And if they are successful in that, they will grow. They will grow substantially. Only time will tell if GameStop is going to be successful, but I think they have a great chance at that success. And that's why, I'm bullish. That's why, as part of my personal risk tolerance, I feel this is a as sure of a thing as can be without it being 100%. Just in my own perspective, not financial advice.
Yeah, and I do hope that, and I think that's kind of where we do get with AMC too. We talk about the experience, and that is something that I hope everybody kind of can remember, right? Like, so, my husband and I, we definitely, we try not to do a lot of, you know, hard object. Like, we don't buy stuff just to buy stuff. Like, we'd rather put our money into an experience, right? Like, so, if it's like, if you want to either, I'm trying to think of a good way to do this. So, like, okay, so this is actually an interesting, a funny thing. So we purchased a used RV, and this is funny to say it this way. So we purchased a used RV, and we rehabbed it, we restored it, but we bought it for the purpose of being able to go have an experience, right? And so this is where we need to be able to have the younger generations have these similar experiences in a sense, because imagine, I can't wait to be able to take our daughter when she's old enough into GameStop or into a theater, for the first time, because when she's old enough to actually understand what the heck's going on. Like, she's been in GameStop, but she's 2. She doesn't know anything about it. She knows there's plushies and those are fun to play with. That's about it, right? But she won't remember that. So these experiences, they, or having someone go and take their game, and the whole meme of GameStop at the beginning of, well, what do they expect from people that would buy a game at $60 and sell it for $20? Like, it's the whole thing, right? We don't, we're dumb money in that sense, right? Like, it's just goofy. But either which way, you have to have those experiences, because that's also money management, right? You have to learn money management in the sense of value, and that taught
But
us
that's like a
value.
vacation. You bought a vacation, right? An experience. You're
An
not
experience, yeah.
exactly. So when you buy a
And
vacation, you can't return it, but at least they give you that opportunity to return it for some kind of credit to buy a new game. Am I correct?
and that's another experience though too. That's a whole, the experience of going and picking out a game. Because, like, okay, so this is a funny story. Our daughter, again, 2, our remote has the voodoo button. I hate smart TVs, by the way. I'm really starting to hate smart TVs because of this. She pushed the voodoo button. She knows that button goes to her movies that we've bought on the TV or whatever during COVID, because we didn't go out, we weren't buying movies in that sense. And so she knows that Voodoo has movies. Well, she bought a movie for like $30. It was Soul, right when it was coming out on Voodoo, and oh gosh, it was that was bad. We kind of laughed about it afterwards, but we were like, well, okay, whatever. But I would rather her be able to go, and why I say this, why I say the digital, I want her to be able to go and pick out a game, right? Like, there's something about going into the store, tangibly touching the product, getting to flip it over, and if it's a used game, that game was loved. Some other kid loved that game, or some other person was just, played it and played it and played it, and then they came in, they turned it in, and they got a new game. So, and that goes into the whole recycling thing, reuse, reduce, whatever. And it's because they're going to make these games at the end of the day. Like, these video games are still going to be made, hard copies, and so we might as well get the use out of them. And I don't know, like, it's just, I think that is something that generations need to be able to experience, is going in and literally, like, thumbing through all of the games, not just clicking through, because that's That's boring. I'm sorry. I might be so old school. I might be totally showing my age right now, but it is so boring to just flip through a catalog on a digital screen at this point. Like, I like being able to go in, and talk with people, and because I'm a social butterfly, obviously. Um, and then, you have the conventions and things. So it's, I don't know, the experience of it, I guess.
I completely agree, Kenna. And again, that's what we're missing now is, if you think of it, how do we build loyalty within our customer base? You know, why do we sometimes go to McDonald's rather than going to a actual burger place where we sit down? Because you're buying same burgers. I mean, it's both bread and meat in between of it. But what
Oh
you're
no.
buying is
Oh,
the
I have to
experience.
beg to differ with the
Well, and
burgers.
I get that point. I get that point. But I guess it's what I'm trying to say is it's the experience is what you're buying. You're paying a little bit extra, and that's what we're missing now. Is that think of I mean when I buy a game, one thing that I really want to point out is there's this big span in between my life when I stopped gaming because my wife is not a gamer. So I missed that. So coming back to gaming, when all of this new stuff came out, and then I'm getting back to it. And given I'm not that old, I'm 28, so um, I'm lost. And what's funny is I was trying to search through the games and which game I want to play. I felt like I have a lot less choices rather than more, even though I'm browsing through thousands and thousands more games. It's because I never get to, and my first initial reaction was, let me go to GameStop and ask somebody there.
Right.
That's
Like,
what we're missing.
that's what I'm talking about, because they all play those games. They
Exactly.
know
And that's
what's
what we're
good.
missing. And that's what we're missing. And that's what I was trying to point out earlier, where that's what we need. And that's why it's very crucial for us to do e-commerce because that's what brings people in. But it's also crucial for us to, now that they're in, well, how do they stay? And that's the brick and mortar. That's when it becomes vital, and that's what I think they're creating. And he's trying to manage both of that, and that's what he's doing is amazing. And that's how you build loyalty, and that's how you get people to come in and get more customer base.
Well, and what's actually interesting, it takes me back to the LAN party setup. I mean, I'm sure all of us can almost remember LAN parties, whether it was with the Xboxes or PCs or whatever. I think they're going to get that added experience doing that. I think that would be very cool.
I mean, how many friends we made at GameStops? When I remember
So
before
many.
going to GameStop, and then I'm like, oh my god, that you play that game too, and we talk about it. And like, I never meet that person again, but guess what? I bought that game because that kid told me it was the most amazing thing that he played.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
missing that. We're missing that. The more connected we are now, it felt we're more disconnected to everybody. And I want to make that, and our kids are going to experience that. And I'm thankful that GameStop's doing this, and this is why I long them, is because I feel like they're changing how the future should be, and they're taking the first initial step, and Amazon can't do that because they never had that history. They don't have that loyal base. There's no people that said, back in the old days, when I go into Amazon, it was such an amazing experience. There was never that, and that's why I think RC did a really good job on going into GameStop, and he saw that there was a history, but there's also a future, and he knew that there was a gap between those two generations, and I think he's trying to solve that now. And going back to what um is it Fosca? Sorry, and I don't mean to disrespect anything about AMC. Is that AMC? I don't see anything. In the future of movies, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's gonna go away anytime soon. But at the same time, depending on how this COVID how this COVID thing going on, they may go away. And instead of being big multi-million dollar um, movie theaters, they're gonna be kind of like one of those smaller ones, where they're kind of like what do you call this? It's kind of like a commemorative thing, where people just so we can experience it still, but they're not like a big thing that people usually still go to. Sorry, and that's the only thing I wanted to say. And of course, the game stuff. Yeah, thank you for
I
letting me speak.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Edward. No, with and just in regards to the AMC, like I don't know, there's some hope there, especially with everything that was said today. And um I I have my convictions with I would hope to see something, some kind of partnership with some kind of live streaming, whether it's Twitch, which would be Amazon, or YouTube, whatever it is, with GameStop and AMC. I think that would be epic because I hope we can get this COVID thing figured out because, again, I'm all about experiences. Going to the movies, it's an experience. Getting one of those big popcorns and a drink and whatever. Like it's a memory. I mean, we all can have those memories, right? So I don't know. Like I'm still pretty bullish on AMC, 100%. Because I mean, plus they're doing like the live sports events, like UFC and whatnot. Like my thing that I I really want to tweet it out. Like being able to rent out a theater for like Super Bowl, like a Super Bowl party. Like, could you imagine watching the Super Bowl on one of those screens? That would be epic. That would be so amazing to have like your friends and family, like because you can rent the theaters at, what is it, like $150 or something. Renting the theater out and watching the Super Bowl and having it catered with the tendies and the hot dogs and the whatever else they sell at the concessions, and then you don't even have to leave. They just deliver it. You just order it from your phone and they bring you the concessions. So I mean, that's something. Whether or not that'll ever come to fruition, I don't know, but that's something that I see. Some of these really cool big games I think would be really cool for AMC to do. But I will pass it on to Diamond Ape. What's going on?
Not too much. How about you?
Not much. We got about 12 minutes, and I'm going to wrap this one up tonight, guys.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just wanted to say I thought the earnings was great. See a lot of people complaining about the call, but that's pretty ordinary for GameStop if you've been around for a couple calls. The numbers were great. Everything's been highly improved year over year. No share offering, so the floor, the support will continually rise. I know I'll be buying more. Yeah, just bullish on long term, short term. We never know when it's gonna squeeze, but the fundamentals are improving daily, and Cohen has a plan, and you just gotta trust the process.
Definitely agree with that. Definitely. Thanks, Diamond. I appreciate that. Tunnel, what's going on?
Hey, I'm coming in late here. This is my first time using this, so real quick, if you can hear me. Has
Yep,
anyone
I can hear you.
proposed esports at AMC theaters as like a joint venture? I think maybe that's what you were just highlighting or alluding to. Am I correct? Or has anybody proposed that?
Can you say that again real quick? Sorry.
Maybe I had my thumb on the esports. Esports at AMC theaters. Has this been proposed?
I think you've cut out really bad. I'm sorry. It's something about esports. I don't know if it's ever been proposed. I don't know if it's ever been proposed between GameStop and AMC. It's just something that back in February, March, when AMC had rumors with Amazon merging or something like that, it kind of just popped into my head that would be a great thing to see with AMC hosting esport competitions or, live streaming them or something because, not all of us can fly out to Los Angeles or Seattle or wherever, they're hosting these. And so to, fill the seats, with an audience wanting to watch, League or Counter-Strike or Fortnite or whatever competitive games are out right now. I thought it would be a really cool thing. It's never been proposed. It's just my little fun, like, hey, this should be a thing, because you're now combining, because you have the GME apes, you have the AMC apes. I mean, hi, big screen video games, completely nerd inception, basically. I love it, but it was just my idea. I think that's what you were asking, Tunnel. And maybe your mic's better.
Exactly. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, it's better.
Exactly what I mean. And it's like it could be a huge thing because stadiums.
It's very hard to hear you.
Yeah, you're cutting out a little bit. It's good for a second, but then you start to cut out. I don't know if you can find a spot.
Get off the Wi-Fi.
There you go.
That
Was it
usually
now?
helps. Yes, that's much better.
Still messed up.
That was the most solid sentence you've had.
No, yeah, we could hear you so far. Try again.
Oh, yeah, I got off the Wi-Fi. Maybe it was a Wi-Fi issue.
Perfect.
Yeah, since stadiums were killed for esports, I think, right? So why not combined?
So I believe during the AMC earnings call when Adam Aaron was taking questions from from everybody like the retail investors or whatever, that question was brought up to, hey, would you ever talk to GameStop about hosting gaming tournaments and blah 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 at AMC theaters? And he said whatever he said, and then today he said he talks with GameStop, but it's still too early. But the gaming tournament thing was brought up during the AMC earnings thing when he was answering the retail traders, our questions.
Oh, thank you, Can't Stop. I guess I missed that part of it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I mean,
it's go ahead,
sorry.
Chef.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, they did talk about it a little bit in the earnings call, and I mean, I think it's like it definitely has the potential. I mean, kind of like you talk about League. Like, I mean, I think Dota's better than League. I mean, it's just more complex and everything. But I mean, they have huge fan bases, right? I mean, they have tournaments held all across the world. I mean, especially like internationally, it's in some places internationally, it's even bigger than it is here. It's one of those things that I feel like just from a business perspective, like if they were to do it, I do think it's a great idea, but I think they have to be really, really strategic about it. I mean, the rights to that kind of thing aren't as difficult as something like professional sports, because I know that's another big thing that was brought up, which they've done some stuff with UFC. There was some suggestions about like NFL or college football or different things like that, but the licensing rights with those get crazy, especially when you're talking about a big screen with like a big auditorium. I mean, I think like the cost to the company in terms of doing something like that from an esports perspective wouldn't be as big, but I think where it really comes in is like what markets do you put that in, and how big of a city. Like, I mean, where I live, for example, there are a few AMC theaters, but there's another theater chain that kind of has a larger presence, and so like while I will go to an AMC theater as a shareholder, if I'm looking at it from a pure consumer perspective, I would probably go to another theater chain just because it's nicer, like specifically here. Although I know that across the country that's not the same thing. But like when I guess the point I'm trying to make, I'm being a little long-winded here, but when it comes to the esports thing, like I think it's a great idea, and I think there's definitely opportunity there, but they got to be really strategic in terms of like which venues they pick to put that in, or kind of test it out, because they have to make sure the demand's there. Like big picture and very broadly, the demand's definitely there, but it could be very hit or miss in terms of like where you put it and how you place it.
I think it would be a good. I mean, AMC has theaters all over the world. Like in Asia, they got like they got a lot. They have the most theaters in the world. I don't think it's called AMC out there, but
No, actually, that's not true, to be honest.
okay, go.
All right, guys.
Well, no, it's fine. We'll let him finish. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, no, I was just gonna say we got like 4 minutes. Do we have any final thoughts that anybody wants to drop? Any good feels, any good vibes for the rest of the week coming up? Because we are on Wednesdays, we got
I
2
would
more
like
days.
I would like to say some positive things, to be honest. I know I'm talking more realistic, but I'm so glad to have so many elaborated positive thinking apes on my side. And to be honest, we are not stupid. We are doing the right thing. Think about it.
I mean, no, I mean, we're definitely doing the right thing. I mean, my moral compass points a little too far north for most people, as I'm sure you guys are all finding out. If I felt like I was on the bad side of something, I wouldn't be in it. That's just how I am. But we need to see change, and I
But
personally,
then,
I personally do not like the way. I don't like predatory ways, and the fact that they're going after companies like Toys R Us, like they went after that and they're gone. Like, granted, yes, they are coming back. If you guys haven't heard that Macy's is bringing Toys R Us back, but the fact that like Radio Shack and like all these other companies that have gone under in predatory ways, and they take out all these shorts, they do all these short positions, and they never have to pay them back because, well, the company's gone. It's predatory, and I personally don't like it. And so uh, I like what is going on. I like change. I like how all of this is kind of getting out, and everybody's um, you know, witnessing it and DDing it and writing up everything that they can. And if you're not writing it up, you're reading and learning and passing the knowledge on. And that is infectious. That is so infectious because people are going to be curious and want to learn more. And that is how we, grow as a community in knowledge, right? That's how this pans out, is that the more information we know, the more, you know, random data flows that we find, whether it's payment for order flow information or SEC files that'll drop, or different things that the companies are doing, the more eyes we have, the better chance we have of learning as much as we can, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity, not just in the transfer of wealth aspect, but a once in a lifetime opportunity to learn the market in such a way, because I've been in the stock
Karma,
market.
Karma,
I've
may I just add one sentence? It's unbelievable what different people I heard today, and it's so nice to see. There's different expectations to come from, but we meet there in this space, and everyone says what's happening, what's he thinking about, and that's really great. To be honest, it's really great.
It is,
Like it.
and I love it. I absolutely love it. And Tracy, you are a badass because you comment on every one of our posts, and I feel bad because I can't get back to you every time. Sorry, this is my YouTube chat that I'm talking to. She's phenomenal. But no, I love it. It's and this is what BullHouse is about, is a community that wants the truth. That's why we don't discourage people from coming up and talking. That's how we we hear all sides, we hear everything, and we just try to decipher every point of view, because somewhere in there is going to be a logical truth. Because that's what we need. The lies and the manipulation and corruption, they need to stop. And the way we do that is we just keep talking. We just keep talking. And a good thing is I like to talk. So I'm not going anywhere, guys. Even post MOAS, BullHouse will be here, because the broad market doesn't stop post MOAS. Broad market starts kicking in high gear post MOAS, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. But I appreciate everyone coming in, YouTube and Twitter space. You guys have been phenomenal. The conversation has been epic, and I couldn't thank you guys more.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Your spaces are unbelievable.
I appreciate that. I don't know what makes them so different, but I'll take it. I really don't, because I've had that comment at least a dozen times today, and I'm still trying to figure it out.
I mean, I'll tell you, you moderate, right? You, like you said, you keep it real. It's not all about hype. I mean, it's intelligent discussion, and I mean, I think everybody here contributes to it. It's awesome.
100%. Community driven. I love it. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow at our normal 10 p.m. time. I don't exactly remember if it's NFT crypto. I think it is. But so if you are NFT crypto, if that's what it is, I'll have to repost the schedule. Bring your favorite cryptos, bring your NFTs, and you can, I believe this is the term, you guys shill your NFTs. That's a really terrible word given the circumstances here. Like,
I
so
lately sold one. Test was quite high.
yeah, I have people that ask if they can shill themselves, and I'm like, I don't think that's an appropriate word. And okay, if that's what you do, I don't care. But yeah, so
Kenna, if I could, I think I'm the only one that's allowed to use that word technically. So they have to run that by me. I'm mildly offended by that.
but yeah, bring your NFTs, guys. If you're dropping anything new or if you have anything left, cryptos. If you have something you want to discuss, we will do our best, and I will try to get Jeremiah on or radio or someone that is definitely a crypto person. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow.
See you.
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.